Thank you, Anand. I'm very excited with this.
Well, you've given me something very significant that you need to be anchored. So I'll keep the anchor. And I've given you something significant saying what's in your heart, be proud to wear it on your sleeve too.
Absolutely.
That's our tricolor, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? So let's start from there. What drives you, Ayan? Because 3 films, 2009, but you've assisted before that, 2004, 2005. You worked with some of the top talent directors in the world, in India. But I want to understand from you, why the gap, one, and the process? Let's start from there.
No, so you asked me 3 questions very quickly. What drives me? I think, you know, when you start off in life wanting to be a filmmaker, become a filmmaker, you just love movies and you don't even know, you want to be a part of it and you want to touch people with your movies and you don't really know what you're trying to say. You've not thought about anything. As we all get deeper with our profession, you know, understand it more and more, I think what drives me has changed over the years. You know, excellence in cinema, growth for myself, trying to touch themes that are challenging, that will move people. I think it's that pursuit of excellence that drives me.
What is this thing with Ranbir Kapoor and Ayan Mukerji? Wake Up Sid, Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, and Brahmastra?
It happened very organically, Anand, honestly. You know, the films, we all have our own sort of, like, the creative journey has its own little thing that happens, magic that happens. Initially in my career, I was writing about characters that were very close in age to me and were going through experiences that young people around the same age as me were going through. Ranveer was a natural fit. We became friends. He's a great actor. In the younger generation, certainly one of the leading people. So it just happened that way.
And Wake Up Sid, like you said, was what you were going through? Irreverent, rebellious, want to do something and not so clear about what you want to do in life, but still full of energy and verve. And Ye Jawani Hai Diwani also, 4 years later, had a little bit of that, but there was a little bit of a maturity. But then comes a huge gap. So what happened in that time?
So, I don't know how, have some of you seen Brahmastra here? Some of you have seen it. Okay, everybody knows about the film. So, Anand, Brahmastra was a very different kind of film. It was a big leap for me because it was a very original concept. In some way, to be very honest, now that it's been a few months since the film has come out, I feel like we only touched the tip of the iceberg of this concept in Brahmastra 1. And some people, especially young people, have picked up on it that from Brahmastra 1, I actually want to create a universe of cinema which fits underneath the word Astraverse. And what it really is stories very deeply inspired from Indian history, old Indian stories, bringing some of that ancient Indian spirituality into the modern world. And this combination, I want to actually keep exploring and telling different stories, using it in the way in which, like, Marvel Studios has so many films that come under it. But the work I was doing wasn't based on an existing piece of literature, the way that, you know, Spider-Man is based on Spider-Man comics that have existed for so many years. It was a jump into the unknown. So to create the concept and to put this kind of film together that looked the way it did, it needed a lot of time because it hadn't been done before. And I like to believe that what we created with Brahmastra was not just that film, but was the foundation for a universe of cinema. So now as we go ahead, I'm hoping we can move a lot faster.
Did people ask you within your friend circle, family, "Ye kya kar raha hai? Why are you doing this?"
Constantly. You always get that. You know, and I guess we work in film. It's very public, the way you're working, your process. People know ki film ban rahi hai, actors have filmed, they know the actors. I get that all the time. You know, I got that all the time. But if I'm being honest, I knew what I was up to. I had examples of stalwarts like James Cameron who've given 12 years and then created Avatar. So I felt कि यार कुछ बड़ा करना है life में, then you have to give it your all. Otherwise, how are you going to do it? You know, otherwise it'll be run-of-the-mill stuff.
So this Astra-verse is a very unique concept, and you said it drives inspiration or draws inspiration from the Marvel universe or the DC universe. And you create characters, and each character then can become a 70 film or a concept.
Well, to be honest, in the Astraverse, it took me a while to articulate this, Anand, but if you watch the film, so there are all these characters in the film, but there are all these other different Astras in the film. And the characters are really the Astras. Like, if you all have seen Brahmastra, there's a scene at the beginning of the film where Mr. Shah Rukh Khan's character has the Vanar Astra. It gives him the power of almost like the spirit of Hanumanji.
Yeah.
And it gets lost at some point in the film. So the idea is that that lost Vanar Astra, maybe some other person finds it and we can weave a new story. So the characters are really the different Astras. The Vanar Astra, the Nandi Astra, the Jal Astra. And I have some stories in my mind of how we can take each of these Astras into different parts of India and tell different stories about modern India with different problems happening. And,
But
build
then
from
why
there.
on 70 Why not make a game series? Everybody's into gaming. This just sets right for a gaming series, an engaging gaming series that everybody will get hooked
Anand,
to.
ये सब करना है. Help me. If anybody here can help me, this building stuff in India, it takes, we are at it. This is the plan. Games, I believe a lot of children, now I realize, responded very well to Brahmastra. Like that age group really, perhaps because of the wonder of it all, the magic of it all, has responded. So I really want to do stuff which also touches children more.
Right.
So I have lots of thoughts. We have to make them a reality.
Let me ask you this. Your process comes from what you want to do, or do you draw insight from what you think the cinema watching audience is open for? Like, how much did a success of Bahubali influence your conviction to go ahead and push with Brahmastra?
So quickly, so Brahmastra was on, even when Bahubali was, when it was releasing, we were already on with Brahmastra. So we would have gotten there anyway. But that place that a film is made from is certainly influenced by what's going on in pop culture, global pop culture, Indian pop culture, certainly. I knew many years ago that to make films for the big screen, you got to make, like I needed to step up from Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, and a lot of people really loved that film, and it was my heart, that film. But I realized that cinema was headed in a direction, and that was because I saw it happening in the West, that the films that lots of people were going for were the big films, the big spectacle films. So you definitely draw from pop culture, but then there's also your own inner creativity that, okay, I know the rules of the game, but now what can I do within these rules? So that's a very I might try to intellectualize it and give you an answer, but it's a combination of all these things that boils down into an instinct. And you go with that instinct.
Did COVID upset your plans?
To be very honest, COVID, I don't mean to say it gave us time that it upset our plans, it disrupted them, but it gave us time that we needed on Brahmastra. I took the time to make Brahmastra a little better than it would have been. So, yeah.
There were many mixed reactions about your promos and how you wanted to promote the movie. How do you react?
You feel?
I heard them. A lot of people loved it. Some of them said, "Kya banaya yaar? What is this going
on the film, more than the promos, you mean? On the film. Yeah, I think it's did really good numbers. So a lot of people embraced the film. It did really well when it came out on streaming. But all the little critique that I've got...
Was it one of the highest grossing films in 2022?
In
2022?
Yeah, I think it's probably from the Hindi film industry, the highest grossing film in 2022. It did super well on streaming when it came out. But I still hear that criticism very clearly. And the thing is, I accept and agree with some of it. And some of that criticism mainly came down to some aspects of this writing and the story of Brahmastra. उसको अभी अच्छी तरह से समझ के part 2 में और better करना है.
Part 2 में और better करना है. Has Bollywood got it right now? Or I shouldn't say Bollywood, the Hindi film industry, because there's a lot of talk that the Hindi film industry does not understand what the movie watching audience
Anand,
wants.
it's very hard. Like if I asked you that question about like all the people, if you had a successful program and I asked you to comment on like other news people, I'm nobody to make that kind of a comment about the Hindi film industry. It would sound arrogant. I think the Indian film industry, outside of Hindi, all over the country, people are doing their best to understand the evolving tastes of our audience. I hope more and more people get it right, because cinema is one of the main art forms that exists in our country. I think it's the main art form that, you know, people come together to go and watch. And the more it thrives, we all have a common culture amongst us, common references. It's really important for a society to have art in it. So I hope that, you know, we keep getting it right and more right.
Well, I got 38 seconds on the clock. You can see that clock in front
Yeah,
of
I
you. So
see it
when
ticking.
is Brahmastra 2? When should we expect it on the screens?
So Brahmastra 2 and 3 are going to be made together. This was something I didn't know when we released part 1. And the truth is, we are going to take a little bit of time to write it. I know there is a lot of anticipation. People want it to come out. But pehle achhi tarah se likhenge without compromising it. And I think it will be about 3 years from now before we can see Brahmastra 2 on the big screen.
So three years from now.
3 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
1. Ladies and gentlemen, Ayan Mukerji.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayan. We will look forward to seeing Brahmastra 2 and 3 years from now. And hopefully the Brahmastra franchise will become as big as the Marvel franchise someday.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm going to request Anand to present a memento to you as a token of appreciation. Thank you very much. And congratulations again on the huge success of Brahmastra. Thank you all for being a great audience. We've had some amazing sessions in the last few hours, but there's much more in store for you. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for your host, Zaka Jacob.
Rising India, Day 2, we're coming to the fag end. This is the slog overs, as it were, the concluding